Many people, even from Hiroshima, had made the move to Hawaii, California, and other places on the mainland. Life was supposed to be better there, so with some luck and hard work, why not try land? Life was supposed to be better there, so with some luck and hard work, why not try?
Yuri became a bride in Oahu.
Nesan became a bride in San Jose, California, and settled in at a farm.
Before long, the little house we built became filled with the sound of one child, then two and more, including our son Harry. Yuri had one child, then another and another, including a little boy named Kenji. We remember Yuri's husband as a very special, kind, and hardworking.
He liked to take our children on walks, telling them things which they were probably too young to understand. Things which I suppose we heard from our folks. Work as hard as you can, respect your elders.
And family honor.
That one we heard many times when we were children. Don't do anything to shame your family or the village.
The children were still young when Yuri's husband died suddenly.
Well, our church provided much support. But when Nesan offered to take care of my little Kenji for a bit, I did not refuse.
Kenji had a funny way of talking, or so we thought at first. Here's an example. On the mainland, we'd say, "Why don't you come on over here?" Kenji'd say,
"You going to stay come over here or what?"
"Huh?
What's the matter? You deaf?"
We taught our children the language and culture of our birthland, and through them, we learned some English and other things American.
Yeah, I remember the day when Kenji ran over yelling,
"Hey, Harry, come on over here."
"What? What?" "Gee, Dad, swell. Real swell."
The farm prospered. We were thankful.
Pearl Harbor was under attack. The black clouds grew larger, the bombs exploding not only in the harbor, but in other parts of Honolulu. Kenji ran down to report to the National Guard. I haven't seen him for several days.
Dad didn't say much that day.
How did we feel? Maybe like anyone else whose homeland has been bombed.
Were we different from any other American family?
Dear Harry, can you believe what the Japanese have done?
The day after the bombing, 2 men from the government came in and took
my father away for questioning. They did the same thing to many other Japanese men. Dad was probably picked up because he was a community leader, active in our church. Dear Kenji, we didn't see or hear from Dad for weeks. When he returned, he'd aged 10 years. All he said was that they wanted to know if he had ties to the Japanese military. This whole business is getting out of hand. I wonder if the FBI was surprised to find out we weren't hiding any spies. Did they really think there were spies among us? I mean, judo instructors and language teachers. And Kenji, it's not so easy to volunteer. My buddy John McFarland and I went to the recruiting station. They wouldn't allow me to sign up. I'm trying to find out what the deal is. And Kenji, keep out of trouble.
Dear Harry, some funny things going on here too. We're under a curfew. You folks too are here. Hoping that our unit will be activated for combat. Hey, and Harry, Be careful where you show your face. Seriously. Your cousin, Kenji.
3 months later, I found out why I wasn't allowed to enlist. It was official. Americans of Japanese ancestry had been classified as enemy aliens.
We were called disloyal because we had done things like sent our children to Japanese language schools.
The FBI's findings that there was no evidence of espionage didn't matter on the West Coast because it was impossible to tell which of us were loyal. He said it was impossible to penetrate the Oriental thinking. Politicians and business leaders agreed. We were to be placed under guard, where we could do no harm. On February 19th, less than 3 months after Pearl Harbor, President Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, authorizing our removal from the West Coast. Over 120,000 of us were shipped away. Most of us had been born here. Most of us were full-blooded Americans.
We obeyed the government.
Report to so-and-so a place on a specific date and time, then receive further instructions.
We had no idea where we would end up or for how long.
People shut down their businesses, and possessions saved for over the years were sold for pennies. We could take to this unknown destination only what we could carry in our arms. Should we have refused to cooperate?
And bring more dishonor and shame on us? Wouldn't others have then thought that we had something to hide? Choosing what to take was very hard. Medicine, warm clothes, yes, but what about things you didn't want to part with?
We didn't know whether anything we put in storage would be here when we got back. So we took special things, like a baseball glove, a high school album.
The last morning in our homes, we woke up on the bare floor. We had become an identification number. There were no demonstrations, no rioting. Perhaps there was a numbness. We had become an identification number. There were no demonstrations, no rioting. Perhaps there was a numbness, a sense of losing so much. When would we again see our friends and relatives who are being sent to other unknown destinations?
Hours later, the trains pulled up to the grounds of a racetrack. We were shown our new living quarters, makeshift barracks and stalls, which still smelled like horses, and worse. There were similar places scattered across the west coast in Arizona, all guarded by armed sentries, all surrounded by barbed wire. The government called these assembly centers. Later, we were shipped to more permanent prisons in desolate regions of California and states far from the West Coast, Utah, Wyoming, and Colorado. The government called these relocation centers. We were kept behind barbed wire. Huge spotlights and machine guns pointed down at us.
We shared barracks with other families, slept on military-issued beds, ate our meals in mess halls. We lined up for the latrines and for the showers in communal stalls.
We thought a lot about freedom.